Today, Donald's meltdown over the controversies surrounding Jeffrey Epstein's alleged client list has officially hit 11. After spending the past week gently pleading with his base to drop the whole issue, an issue, by the way, Donald created, he is now snapping publicly and repeatedly in public, making it very clear that as those closest to him turn on him, he's starting to feel the walls start to close in a little bit. Is he indeed perhaps losing control over even the most loyal people in his base? Earlier this afternoon, during a press conference that was supposed to focus on his meeting with the Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Bahrain, Donald was asked once again about Epstein. He was not pleased. Take a look.
No, it's I call it the Epstein hoax. It takes a lot of time and effort. Instead of talking about the great achievements, we've had a great gentleman. Yesterday, as you know, went on CNBC and he made the statement that Trump may go down as the greatest president of all in the United States. And instead of talking about the things we've achieved, we've had tremendous achievement. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously had some very serious problems, who died 3-4 years ago. I'd rather talk about the success we have with the economy, the best we've ever had, and all of the things we've done, including the Middle East. I mean, you see it. Instead, they want to talk about the Epstein hoax. And the sad part is it's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people. Yeah, go ahead.
Methinks thou dost protest too much, and methinks thou art delusional. Okay, so by Donald's logic, we shouldn't talk about horrific things that other people did simply because they're dead. So we shouldn't talk about Hitler, or Mussolini, or Genghis Khan, or my grandfather, for example. But that's not how it works. And again, by the way, this is a controversy of Donald's own making because he and everybody in his orbit promised his followers during the 2024 campaign that he would release the so-called Epstein file. And now he's pretending, one, that didn't happen. Two, there is no such thing. Three, Obama and Biden and Hillary Clinton made it all up. And four, anybody asking for him to fulfill his promise is a stupid idiot. And by the way, most of the people calling for that transparency are his most loyal followers. Here's a spoiler for you. None of this is going well. Many people in his base and the people they listen to, people with a lot of influence, are peeling off. And I'm pretty sure temper tantrums like the one we just saw are only going to speed up that process. Later in the same press conference, Donald tried to clean it up, again, by going back to his usual playbook, blame the Democrats for duping his past supporters. Here's the clip.
On your Truth Social this morning, you mentioned past supporters when you were talking about the Epstein issue. Does that mean that you're effectively disowning any supporters who are now calling?
I lost a lot of faith in certain people, yeah, I lost. Because they got duped by the Democrats. The Democrats are good for nothing. They've done a terrible job. They almost destroyed our country.
Well, yeah, because we didn't get Kamala Harris elected. So yes, I think that is down to us for sure. But let's get something very straight here. No one's been duped by the Democrats in this issue. They've been duped by Donald, and they know it. That's the problem for them and for him. And of course, every admission from Donald is a confession. He ran on releasing the Epstein files. Now it's a hoax because clearly it has to be, because releasing the file would somehow be bad for him. I don't know how. I don't know if they implicate him. I don't know if they implicate other people to whom he owes favors. I have no idea. But There is no smoke without fire. And insulting anyone who had the audacity, I guess, to believe what Donald Trump promised them is not a way to get ahead of this issue. Meanwhile, on his failing social media site, Donald posted another rant this morning that seemed, quite frankly, more desperate than usual. In summary, he said, quote, Democrats' new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax, and my past supporters have bought into this bullshit, hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore, unquote. Ah, I see. I didn't want you guys anyway. I am just waiting for him to threaten to hold his breath until he turns blue and passes out. He sounds like a child who, when his classmates decided they didn't want to play with him, and trust me, that happened frequently during Donald's childhood, just claims that he didn't really want to play with him anyway. So, Donald has never, ever been able to handle criticism well. But here's the thing. When he was younger, like when I was growing up, he never had to because my family was constructed in such a way that Donald was always right. Donald was always the most important person in the room. Donald was the one who was the star. So there was no criticism because my aunts and uncles, my grandmother, and even my grandfather knew that their best way to succeed in my family was to make sure that Donald always felt like he was the most special person in the family and on the planet. Now, we've seen this for years, but it's getting worse. As soon as he experiences pushback, even in the form of a perfectly reasonable question from a reporter, he can't handle it. Why? Because nobody ever dared question him before. So he's going to continue melting down as people call him out for his lies and imply that he may indeed be complicit in all of this. Let's be clear. Donald cares about this. He cares about this deeply. Again, I don't know why, but he's terrified of where this is going. But perhaps more than that, he's terrified because perhaps for one of the very few times in his life, he doesn't have control of the narrative. And everything he's doing to change the narrative is backfiring. If his base continues to turn on him, the unraveling will only accelerate. Donald, again, has been able to get away with almost everything for most of his life. But there are a lot of people, especially those who used to be on his side, who don't want him to get out of this. They want accountability for this self-created crisis of Donald Trump's. But before we get into that, we are able to expose these kinds of stories that Donald so desperately wants to keep hidden because we are an independent media outlet. We don't answer to anybody but you. Corporate interest will never get in the way of our trying to bring down the Trump regime by telling the truth about it on a daily basis. So please like and share this video. And if you believe in our mission, please subscribe to our channel. Donald isn't just losing control of the narrative, he's also losing Republicans. GOP lawmakers are mostly too scared to speak up because I think that is a sort of a prerequisite for being a GOP lawmaker. But even some of the most loyal lapdogs are having a very difficult time holding the line. Take a look at this clip from Speaker Mike Johnson, of all people. Like seriously, the sycophantiest of the sycophants, suddenly demanding the full Epstein files be made public, even after House Republicans blocked Democrats from forcing their release.
I'm for transparency. We're intellectually consistent in this. Look, Reagan used to tell us we should trust the American people. I believe in that principle. I know President Trump does as well, and I trust him. I mean, he put together a team of his choosing, and they're doing a great job. It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it. I mean, the White House and the White House team are privy to facts that I don't know. I mean, this isn't my lane. I haven't been involved in that. But I agree with the sentiment that we need to put it out there. And you know, Pam Bondi, I don't know, when she originally made the statement, I think she was talking about documents, as I understood it, that were on her desk. I don't know that she was specific about a list or whatever, but she needs to come forward and explain that to everybody. I like Pam. I mean, I think she's done a good job. We need the DOJ focusing on the major priorities. So let's get this thing resolved so that they can deal with violent crime and public safety and election integrity and going after Act Blue and the things that the president is most concerned about, as we are. So I'm anxious to get this behind us.
The fact that that guy said that they care about intellectual consistency and didn't get struck by a bolt of lightning suggests certain things to me. But remember, this is the same guy, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, who forced Donald's budget through, you know, the big abominable bill, through Congress on an artificial deadline. And now he's jumping ship over the Jeffrey Epstein controversy, which suggests that loyalty to Donald and political self-preservation are no longer the same thing for many Republicans. So the pressure is building for a reason. New metadata show that nearly 3 minutes were cut from what the DOJ and FBI claimed was quote unquote full raw footage from the camera near Epstein's cell the night before he died. The internet's most paranoid voices have noticed, and for once they have a point. Take a look at Joe Rogan's episode from yesterday.
You got the director of the FBI on this show saying there's no if there was, nothing you're looking for is on those tapes. Like, what? Why did they say there was thousands of hours of tapes of people doing horrible shit? Why did they say that?
Right.
Didn't Pam Bondi say that?
Yeah, well, I agree with that guy, which, you know, is alarming. But hey, broken clock, etc. Alex Jones, who should be penniless and living at the bottom of a very dark, deep hole, somehow is continuing to make videos. And on Monday, he remarked on how poorly Donald has handled this issue. Watch here.
You made it a major campaign issue, and your surrogates did, to bring all this out. And I support you, but we built the movement you wrote in on. You're not the movement. You just surfed in on it. But your attempt to then tell people nothing to see here, move on, is called the mother of all Streisand effects. And Trump, I know you know what the Streisand effect is.
Well, in case you don't know what the Streisand effect is, it's basically when something happens, something is publicized about you, and you don't want anybody to know about it. You want its reach to be limited. So you make a big deal out of it, which means that more people know about it. So it gets much, much, much more attention than it might have gotten if you had just kept your mouth shut in the first place. Now remember, all of this is happening because the Trump regime ran on the promise to release the Epstein files and implied that it would implicate top Democrats. That was it. And the base believed every word of it. Those promises continued throughout the term. Then there's Representative Thomas Massie, who's basically become one of Donald's most effective critics in the House, despite the fact that he's a Republican. He's now trying a long shot maneuver to force a House vote compelling the DOJ to release the Epstein files. Again, it probably won't work, but that isn't exactly the point, is it? The point is that Donald's base is not letting this go, and they are angry, and they have allies in Congress. That Donald's allies and the party are basically distancing themselves from him, but also challenging him is something we need to pay attention to. The Epstein scandal seems to have cracked something deep inside of MAGA, creating a fissure where none existed before. And the Democrats are not letting this moment go to waste because they must be aware that if they continue to put pressure on, that fissure can be widened. Representative Jasmine Crockett, Democrat of Texas, has been one of the loudest voices demanding accountability. And this week, she took it straight to Attorney General Pam Bondi.
We should be calling in Pam Bondi. We should put her under oath to testify in front of judiciary on the House side.
About Epstein?
About Epstein, absolutely.
What do you want to know?
Well, first of all, she said, I've got the files on my desk. Then the next thing you know, she said, well, wait a minute, there are no files. Which one is it? When were you lying? And why are you lying? What is the cover up? We know that your boss indicated that he was going to release the files. What is the holdup on releasing the files? And how are you going to go about determining what is relevant, right? What is, I forgot the exact term that he used, but that's basically what he said, right? Like, what is going to be your process? But ultimately, I want to know not just about specifically the Epstein files, but how she is running this DOJ, because I don't have any confidence in the way that she is running this DOJ.
Well, we should have absolutely no confidence in Pam Bondi because she is running the Department of Justice as if it has absolutely nothing to do with justice, because it no longer does. She is running it as if it is simply an extraordinarily powerful defense firm for Donald Trump, there solely for the purposes of protecting him from his own criminality. We need exactly the kind of rhetoric that Representative Crockett is out there talking about on a daily basis. But what we also need is a critical mass of Democrats continuing to call Donald and the Trump regime out for their blatant lies and their backpedaling and the, quite frankly, counterproductive, embarrassing way they've been handling this scandal since getting caught in the middle of it. Crockett isn't mincing words, and nobody else in the Democratic Party should be either. Behind the scenes, Democratic leadership is continuing to keep the pressure on. So, despite 2 failed votes this week, they're not giving up. House Democrats forced Republicans to vote twice publicly against releasing the Epstein files, and they're going to do it again. As House Rules Committee ranking member Jim McGovern, Democrat of Massachusetts, told Axios, quote, "That was not the last time that you're going to see us deal with this issue," unquote. And they should not stop in these efforts, even if the Republicans continue to vote them down because, of course, the Republicans have a narrow majority. Because this scandal is metastasizing. Donald can't suppress it forever, but here's the thing, too. If every single Republican, potentially with the exception of Representative Massey, continues to vote to keep the Epstein information out of the public eye, then their base will try to hold them to account too. This is no longer just about Donald Trump. This is about his enablers in his administration and his enablers in Congress, who are right now making it clear that they have no allegiance to their constituents. They do not care what the people who voted for them want. So let's make that as clear as we possibly can by putting pressure on Republicans in Congress who actually have the power to give the base what it wants and what, quite frankly, all of the American people deserve. Transparency about this issue. It doesn't matter that Jeffrey Epstein is dead. It matters that he committed horrific crimes. There are victims of those crimes who continue not to have been compensated, who did not get to see their day in court, and there may very well be people implicated in those crimes who, at least until now, and as long as Donald Trump keeps all of this secret, will continue to be allowed to roam free in the world without ever facing punishment for what they did. That's why this matters.
Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.